So tonight, Zeb and I are on the island of Shikoku. We're actually staying at an old elementary and middle school, and it's been converted into a guest house. Next on our road trip around Japan, we finally reach the island of Shikoku. Not only will we be able to stay in this old elementary school, we're also biking in all 4 of Shikoku's prefectures on one ride, admiring the beautiful Yoshino River, and seeing one of the Iya Valley's vine bridges. Shikoku is the smallest of the 4 main islands of Japan, made up of 4 prefectures: Ehime, Kagawa, Kōchi, and Tokushima. Since we were driving down Honshu and entering from Kobe, we got to Shikoku by crossing some huge bridges over the Seto Inland Sea and driving across Awaji Island. We're driving to Tokushima! We're on Awaji Island, almost. The tolls here seem to be some of the highest per kilometer, and we paid about 9,000 yen for 5 hours of driving. However, it was beautiful looking over the water and super convenient to be able to get to the island by car. We stopped to get some really good curry for lunch, and to break up our drive to the Oboke Gorge area, which is near the center of Shikoku, right on the border of Tokushima and Kōchi prefectures. Look at it! The first view of the Yoshino River took my breath away. You could see people rafting down below, and the steep surrounding mountains were a stunning backdrop. Speaking of mountains, our accommodations for the night looked to be just across the river on the map, but they were actually a 20-minute drive up the winding mountainside to get there. After crossing the train tracks at the small Tose Iwahara station, we started the narrow, steep climb up. We passed a few houses at the bottom, and then the road tucked into the forest for a bit. I was just relieved that we didn't come up on anyone headed the opposite direction, and glad that we had a small K car. We followed signs for the Aruse School, now a guest house, and finally the road opened up as we reached the school.
Get up here and there's like no one here. Oh, they land helicopters here.
Wow. We just arrived at the school and the driveway was wild. We're gonna go check in now. It was quiet except for the sounds of summer bugs, and we went into the school lobby to check in. I wanna go see the gym. There were cubbies for your shoes, and on the wall there was a painting of the vine bridge we would see later. Oh wow, yeah. We learned that the school had been revived by locals who grew up in the area and attended the school as children. And our host for the night was the very friendly Kyo-yan. I was surprised to learn that we were the only guests for the night. So we have the whole school to ourselves, along with the man who owns and runs the school and also lives here. And he used to be a student here. He said that it took him an hour every day to walk from the very bottom, where the train station is, all the way up here, and he went here through middle school. The group takes turns hosting, and it's so awesome that the school can still be used, even though there aren't enough kids in the village to keep it functioning as a school. It was so cool to explore the halls and the old classrooms, and the school itself is in such a beautiful setting. The rooms had been renovated to accommodate guests, but still retained their old charm as classrooms. There are a couple different room options. We got the tatami mat, the tatami style room, and then there's also a Western style room, which I'll show you. And there's also a gym on the 3rd floor, which Zeb and I are gonna go up there and see what that is. The 3rd floor of the school was the gym, and we could play as much as we wanted there. Wow. It's so quiet in here. The 3rd floor of the school has this huge gym up here.
I haven't played basketball in so long.
Really? Oh! Zeb challenged me to a game of horse, and despite wearing his indoor slippers and claiming to not have played in a while, he still beat me pretty badly. Zeb won. Embarrassing. So it's a little bit eerie that we're staying here alone in this old school. In the town that I grew up, there's also an abandoned school, so it feels a little bit familiar. But of course, because we're in Japan, it's also so different and such a unique place to stay. Look what this door goes to. Yeah. There were some steps leading to a shrine outside the school, so we went on a short walk while the sun was going down. The school had old photos displayed, and in one of them you could see this torii gate in the same place, with the previous wooden school building in the background. The stairs were steep, but it was a peaceful shrine and had a map of the village, too. School, where we are now. But there's so many people out here. I'm not sure how many houses are still lived in, but the school is in between two villages here, on the outskirts of the Iya Valley. I couldn't believe that Kyoyan walked an hour each way every day for school as a kid. It's like a perfect place to go on a little evening stroll. Right after we arrived at the school, we actually got a news notification that there had been a big 7.1 magnitude earthquake in Kyushu, on the coast of Miyazaki Prefecture. Luckily there wasn't extensive damage, but it did result in a megaquake advisory, since there was a possibility it could trigger the huge Nankai Trough earthquake that's said to happen every 100 years or so, one that Japan is overdue for. I've been pretty freaked out by earthquakes ever since we had a big one in Ishikawa, but the walk was so peaceful that I kind of forgot about all the risk of impending doom fears I had. We didn't know then, but a couple days later that advisory would be lifted, luckily. The school has a bath now, which was really nice, and on the second floor, we could look through old yearbooks and photos from previous years at the school. I really enjoyed seeing all the history. It's cool to have free range of the whole school at night, and in the library room they have a bunch of historical photos so you can see what the school used to look like. This is the old school, but it's the present location, and you can see the shrine that we walked up earlier. Old yearbooks. Look how nice this view is. Since we're in Kōchi Prefecture right now, right on the edge of the prefectural border, we're going to be able to ride in all 4 prefectures on Shikoku Island today. The next day we started our bike ride early in the morning and planned to do a route that touched all 4 of Shikoku's prefectures, to the inland sea and back. Since we were only spending that one night at the school, Zeb biked down and I drove down, so we didn't have to ride back up the long hill. We did change our plans slightly to stay in the mountains and away from the Pacific coast while the megaquake advisory was in effect, just in case. met at the Tosa Iwahara train station and started our ride along the beautiful Yoshino River. To be honest, we were barely in Kōchi Prefecture, since the school was on the edge of Kōchi and Tokushima, and most of the ride was in Tokushima Prefecture along the river. It is scary. It's Oboke Canyon, and we're on this big swinging bridge right now, which is a little bit spooky. There's Zeb. There's the other side and my bike. Ta-da! At Miyoshi, we headed west towards the coast, but you could follow the river east all the way to the city of Tokushima and where it ends at the Pacific. It was hardly morning, but already getting hot out, since there was little shade as we neared the coast. We stopped here for a Family Mart break. I got this thing. Icebox. Oh. There's like chunks of pear inside. Or peach. Chunks of little peach inside. The flavored ice chunks were really refreshing, but this section of the ride wasn't great since there was a lot of traffic on a pretty small road. We crossed into Kagawa Prefecture and started heading back to the Yoshino River. There was a climb up Road 8 to get back to Tokushima Prefecture, but it was shaded and really nice. When we went through the tunnel at the top, we came out in Tokushima Prefecture. We got back on Road 32 again through Oboke Gorge, and it was beautiful, but the heat was really getting to me at this point. My GoPro also did not like the heat, so I'm sorry about the flickering and glitching in the video here. Zeb actually turned across the river and climbed up Road 45 towards one of the famous vine bridges, and I continued on to the car so I could drive up to meet him at the top. That was really hot. I went back to the car because 70 miles is all I have in me today. But Zeb went ahead and biked up to the Ivy Bridge, and we're gonna drive up there to meet him. There was kakigori, or shaved ice, and shaved frozen fruit being sold in the parking lot, where I met Zeb, so of course we got some. There were so many things for sale on the way to the Ivy Bridge. It's a lot of soba.
I know.
Look at all these things. Kazurabashi is the name for mountain vine bridges. This one, Iya Kazurabashi, is the largest one of the remaining vine bridges, but there used to be 13 of these in the Iya Valley. After the Genpei War ended in 1185, the Heike samurai were defeated and trying to run to safety in the Shikoku wilderness. The steep gorges here in the Iya Valley seemed like the perfect cover, and it said that the vine bridges could be quickly destroyed with swords if they suddenly needed to keep chasing enemies from crossing. Today, the vine bridges are rebuilt every 3 years, and they're actually anchored around hidden steel cables for safety. But the overall look is still striking. You have to pay 550 yen to cross the bridge, which isn't too much, but there was a long line. It's one way only. And we were happy to just admire it from the end. 14 meters below the bridge is the Iya River, which was a bright green-blue color and free to play and swim in. There's also a pretty waterfall just past the bridge. The rest of our time in Shikoku we spent relaxing and not doing much worth mentioning. So the next video will start with our ferry ride to Kyushu. Thanks for riding with me, and I hope to see you in the next video.